Everybody, and welcome to this invited talk, this lecture. I am
Thank you for your nice introduction, Professor Karl. Uh, so, uh, in this talk, I would like to introduce my basically the current state of my, I would like to say, research adventures. So, here's the lecture outline. I'd like to introduce my academic background and the university that I am now working, and then I will introduce you my research areas. As you can see, it is in the area of uncertainty, and we will discuss some evolutionary computing models that can be robustly used to solve this type of problem. Then our research will be, talk will be focused on our Swedish Research Council awarded project, uh, belief rule-based wireless sensor networks, and we will discuss some of its challenges that we are now facing. So I did my schooling in a school named Hossain College, and then my university is Chittagong University of Engineering and Technology, where I awarded Outstanding Alumnus Award in 2008. And then, as you can see here, from the University of Manchester Institute of Science and Technology, I got both my MPhil and PhD. So this university is famous for the people like the Alan Turing. You know, Alan Turing is called the father of artificial intelligence, and also it is famous for the invention of world first stored program computer invented in 1949. So after that, this invention, you can see how made changes to our everyday lives. That is, we entered into a new types of civilization. It is called digital civilization. So I got a number of fellowships like the Commonwealth Scholarship, Erasmus Mundus, World Bank Fellowship, and the Tyndall in different time scale. And then here are some example of my research project that I have completed. Say for example in the Oman Sultan Qaboos University, and now we are working on a Swedish Research Council project. So here is, I published about 70 research articles and 4 books. So here is the cover page of one of my books, which is available online. Anybody can purchase it. This is the title is Computing Reality. We are talking about a new type of computing philosophy in this book. And here is my university that I am working at. The link contain two of my current TV interview. If you have time, you may have a look on this lecture. And then you can see the location of my university. That is, it is, you can see the Bangladesh and the neighboring countries, and here is the Chittagong. You can see. And our university consists of 7 faculties and 55 departments, about 25,000 students and academic staff. And this university is renowned for the academician like the Nobel laureate Professor Dr. Yunus, who got his professorship from this university. And Wikipedia will give you more information about this university. Here is my department, and now I would like to concentrate on my research areas. So you see, to the scientist, uncertainty can be considered as one of the challenges that we need to solve it. Uh, that's why we would like to introduce you to evolutionary computing methodology like the relational epistemology and belief rule base and their applications. And first of all, I would like to make you understand the nature of world just by introducing an example. So in this example, you can see that if somebody at the door, then the doorbell rang, and if the doorbell rang, then John wake up. So in this example, we can get two propositions. That is, if somebody at the door, then doorbell rang. And second proposition is, if the doorbell rang, then John wake up. So the problem here is that is how much we are sure that if somebody at the doorbell rang, because there could be other reasons. Doorbell may ring for, there could be short circuit, there could be animal in the outside the room. So you can see, in this way you can see infinite number of antecedents in these rules that we need to consider. So same things we can observe from the second proposition, that if doorbell ring, then John wake up. That is, John may wake up for any other reasons also, not only the doorbell. There could be other reasons. So there is an example of uncertainty. That is, we are not 100% sure about this inference. So there are some issues of abductive reasoning, deductive reasoning. I don't like to talk much on this. We may talk on later on. And then, so due to this, we can say the world is very complex. The reason is that it contains uncertainty. That's why it's not linear. It's non-linear. And we can say that it's a stochastic in nature. And that's why if we define categorize problem as structure, semi-structure, and unstructured, so the world consists of unstructured problem like the how can you compute the emotions of human being, or how can you diagnose the diseases, or how can you manage the disasters. So that's why we need an new computing paradigm, because traditional computing paradigm is not able to solve this type of problems. That's why we are proposing relational epistemology as well as the belief rule base. So what is the problem with the computational model that we work on at present? That is, the challenge of computer science is that you need to visualize the real world in the computer world, and because computer only understands 0 and 1 binary code, so it's require a series of transformation, and this transformation should need to be relational transformation. That is, the from one stage to other stage there should be interactions, and the interaction should not be one way, it should be two way. We would like to call it circular causations. In this way, in this paradigm, that is, it will form a cybernetics. So if we consider this type of method that we have elaborated in our book Computing Reality, then we will able to develop the sustainable software. So this is very important. So taking this view into account, we have worked in our project at Sultan Qaboos University. Here you can see we have tried to map the imaginary space of a planet. So here you can see we have developed the development landscape of a country considering different types of variables. So in a sense, it's a kind of virtual reality that we have generated. So if we have a reality, then it is simulated reality, that it will help us to analyze it from various perspectives. For example, where is the problem, how we can solve the problem, what policy we should take, this type of things. Later on, we can extend it in a type of augmented reality, for example. And you can see another problem we can show. This is the fraud problem. You can see the three-dimensional model. So in this problem, in this real world visualization, we can easily see where is the fraud water or where is the problem. So this is very important. That is, how can you accurately generate the reality in the computer world. So that's why we need evolutionary computing model as a kind of solutions. So now I will like to introduce you the belief rule base with a example. That is the paper presented me and Professor Carl this July in USA. It is on the assessment of diagnosis of measles under uncertainty. So here you will also get an idea how we are handling the problem of uncertainty. You see, measles is a kind of contagious infections, and it has the capability to affect the various organs of human being. So from physical contact it can express. So usually physicians, what they do, they assess the degree of measles with a patient by looking at their signs and symptoms. Here are some example of signs and symptoms. You can see it could be fever, cough, coryza, which is related to the nose, and conjunctivitis, oblique spot related to the teeth, and body rash. So the problem is that these signs and symptoms cannot be measured with 100% certainty. So, so there are some example you can see. That is the in this picture you can see the oblique spot, which is related to the, you can see the teeth here, and conjunctivitis, that is it can affect the eyes, and the child has a fever and skin rash. So the problem, as I mentioned, that these signs and symptoms cannot be measured with 100% certainty. So from our research, which we have observed that when we ask the physician, how can you measure these signs and symptoms, we have observed that their mind is not fuzzy, their mind is Boolean. They would like to say yes or no in terms of yes or no. They would like to answer the questions. So it consists of various types of uncertainty, like the vagueness, imprecisions, or the ignorance, or the incompleteness. So that's why what we are trying to do, you know, in an expert system, it consists of two main components. One is knowledge base, and another one is the inference engine. So it is very important to use the appropriate language to develop the knowledge base by taking account into the uncertainty things. So for example, if we develop our knowledge base using the propositional logic or the first order logic, we can develop it. But the problem with the propositional logic or the first order logic is that they are assertive in nature. That is, they can evaluate a sentence in terms of true and false, not between true or false anything. So instead of propositional logic or the fuzzy first order logic, we can also think of using the fuzzy logic. But the problem with the fuzzy logic, although it can address some types of uncertainty, basically the uncertainty due to the linguistic terms as vagueness, ambiguity, or imprecisions. But the problem with the fuzzy logic is that it is not capable of handling other types of uncertainty like the ignorance or the incompleteness. So that's why we need a new kind of knowledge representation technique, and we come up with a new knowledge representation technique known as belief rule base. So in this belief rule base, that is in the antecedent part, if you can see here, P1, P2, Pn, these are the example of antecedent attribute, and A1k, A2k, these are the example of referential values. And in the consequent part, you can see that is with the referential value of the consequent attribute, we are adding some degree of belief. Say, for example, beta 1k, beta 2k. You can see we are using so many learning parameters here, like the what is the rule weight, or what is the attribute weight, or and the degree of belief. And if the summation of the degree of belief is equal to 1, then we can say our assessment is complete. There is no ignorance. But if it is less than 1, then we can say there exists some ignorance. So in the this from this domain, we have taken an example like if fever is medium, rash is high, Koplik spot is high, cough is high, and then measles is high with degree of belief 90%, and medium degree of belief 10%, and low 0%. So if you sum up the degree of belief in the consequent part, then you can see it is 1. It means that the assessment is complete. So here is an example of belief rule base that we use to develop the knowledge base. And here are the parameters that I have already elaborated. It considers the antecedent attributes, then the referential value, and the possible consequent referential values, and the degree of belief. And in the inference procedures, basically, it consists of 4 steps. One is the input transformation, second one is the rule activation weight calculations, then third one is the degree of belief update, which address the issues of ignorance, and then the aggregation of the rule, that is the we can use the evidential reasoning. So in this architecture of the inference procedure, you can see input, this is a vector here, that is you are receiving this input data, and basically we would like to see what will be the consequent of this input data as the output, and then this input data should need to be transformed, and then we need to calculate the activation weight of each rule, because each rule will not play the same uh, role in the creation of the answer to the questions, and then we can use the evidential reasoning. So the characteristics of this inference structure is that it allows the knowledge representation, and it is we can say non-black box type of systems. If you can use the artificial neural network, then it's a black box system, because you can't see what is going on in the hidden layers. And you can also do the optimizations and learning with the constraint that we have mentioned earlier. So here is the belief rule matrix, and you can see how can we calculate the rule activation weight. Here is the equations. Then you can see how can we aggregate the rules. Here is the equation. Here is the two different forms of evidential reasoning. One is called recursive evidential reasoning, and another one is called analytical referential evidential reasoning. And you can use some constraint on the parameters like the rule weight or the degree of belief. Say, for example, the value of degree of belief should not be negative. It should be in between 0 and 1. This type of constraint we can put on the learning parameters. Say, for example, in the attribute weight, the value of the attribute weight should need to be in between 0 and 1. So these are the things we need to consider. So here, so in order to develop a belief rule-based expert system, the first thing is that we need to have a belief rule-based framework we call BRBT. So in case of measles, that we have introduced you the different signs and symptoms earlier. You can see Koplik's, rash, fever, and there are 3 C's. They are called conjunctivitis, coryza, cough. So in this way, so this is a 2-level BRB tree. So for example, for 3C, there should be a belief rule base, or we can say belief sub rule base, and there is in the second level there could be another belief rule base. So So here is the architecture of the expert system. As you can see, it consists of an interface layer, then in the application layer, that is, we can put the inference procedure that we have elaborated earlier, which consists of input transformation, belief degree update, rule activation, and the rule aggregation. And then there should be a database layer which consists of the initial rule base and some function to acquire the knowledge. And here is an example of initial belief rule base, that is, we have developed considering the first level of as you can see, S7, S6, F5, F4. These are the antecedent attribute of the rule. You can see S7, S6, F5, F4, and its consequent, that is the A8, that is the what is the level of measles in a patient. So this initial rule base we can develop. There are different kinds of way we can visit the fields, or we can ask the expert, or we can consult the documentation. In this way we can develop the initial rule base. That is, the idea is that how can you obtain the human judgment. So these are very important, because based on this we need to make our decision, or the consequence we can calculate. So here is the interface of the expert system. As you can see here, we have tested this system with a patient named Bijoy Chaudhary. His age is 7, sex is male, and we have collected the sign and symptom data. For example, his temperature is 103 degree Fahrenheit, and the complex spot we have is found. The condition of rash is spread moderately. The condition of cough is mild. The condition of oryza is moderate. The condition of conjunctivitis is mild. Then when you put this uh, input vector into the BRB tree, then it will generate the what is the level of measles in this patient. In this case, what we have seen that it's high 50%, mild 50%. Then we have convert this fuzzy value into Kipps value by using some utility score. You can see we have got for this patient 75%. And then it is very important to measure the reliability of any systems or the testing. So what we have done, that is, we have collect data of 50 patients, their sign and symptoms. Collecting their sign and symptoms, we have run our system and then generate the system result. And for the same sign and symptoms, we have also asked the expert. We consider physician as the expert, that what is his opinion on the level of measles in this patient. Say for example, for patient 1, we have collected this data. Then you can see system generated result is 82% and expert opinion is 80%. Now the problem is that how can we say that our system is better than the expert opinion? So in that case, we can use the receiver operating characteristics curve, which is widely used to calculate the accuracy of any prediction models. So that we have used, but in that case, we need some benchmark data. So in this case, what will be our benchmark data? So after doing some lab test, say for patient 1, we are 100% confirmed that he has measles. So we put 1. And for example, for patient number 5, after doing some lab test, we have found he don't have any measles. That is, we put the 0. So these are the benchmark data we consider. So here you can see the result of our analysis. This is called the receiver operating characteristics curve. So these are called the area under curve. If the area under curve is 1, then if say for example for our systems, if you got area under curve 1, then we can conclude that our system is working with 100% accurately. For this data, what we have calculated, we have got area under curve for our belief rule based expert system is 0.849, but in case of a human expert it is 0.811. So you can see our system is performing better than the human expert. Why human expert is not performing better than our system? The reason is that they have not considered uncertainty during the assessment of the measles, or their mind is Boolean. And then we have also compared our system with a fuzzy rule based systems. Here you can see the difference between belief rule based and the fuzzy rule based. So in case of belief rule based, the only difference is that in the belief rule based, in the consequent part, we are considering the degree of belief for each levels of the referential value. But in case of fuzzy logic, for the consequent attribute, we are considering the value of only one referential value, like here measles is high, but it is not considering here medium or low. So this has a, we will show you that this is a very critical implications on the accuracy of the result. As you can see from here, that is we have developed the ROC curve in comparison our system expert opinion and the fuzzy rule based. Then you can see the area under curve here, that is for I believe rule based expert system we have found 0.949, and fuzzy rule based expert system 0.844, and human expert 0.811. So from this data, what is our conclusion? Our conclusion is that for fuzzy rule based expert system, the area under curve is less. What is the reason? The reason is that in the knowledge representative schema, they are not considering the degree of belief in the consequent part. Moreover, the inference procedure that fuzzy rule-based expert system use, basically Mamdani rules or the TS rules. So this a rule aggregation algorithms that not much robust, that is they have not considered all the different kinds of uncertainty during the inference procedure, but which is not the case with the belief rule-based expert system, because the inference procedure which we consider, it consists of input transformation, rule activation, calculations, belief update, and then evidential reasoning, which considers so many parameters. So that's why we are getting more accurate result than from the fuzzy rule based expert system. And why human expert is not performing better than the fuzzy rule based expert system or the belief rule based expert system, the reason has already mentioned. So here is an example that we have shown. Now I will show you another example, that is how can we assess the autism under uncertainty. So this is also an example of complex problem or the nonlinear problem. And autism, how can you define the autism? Because the child may have problem with his communication or playing or interaction or with other people, learning disability, this type of problem we can see. So for autism, here you can see a picture of an autistic child. The factors that we need to consider in order to measure the level of autism, we have come out with some factors like the social interaction, communication problem, or the behavior problem, or whether it has sensory problem, or motor or the measure intelligence. So these are the factors we have considered to assess the autism level. And then you can see what types of uncertainty is associated with each type of factors. Say, for example, for social interaction, how can you measure it? But the problem we have find of the uncertainty, it's there is some ignorance or the vagueness, and for communications, there could be some incompleteness, behavior, some ignorance, sensory preciseness. So in this type of problem, if you use the fuzzy rule based systems, so this will not give you the better result, because fuzzy system don't have any technique to handle the uncertainty like the ignorance or the incompleteness. You can also think of developing a Bayesian based approach. But the problem with the Bayesian based approach is that it don't have any schema to handle the problem like the uncertainty, like the ignorance, or the other things. It's a basically a probabilistic reasoning approach. It's considered only the subjective probability. So that's why you can see the solutions that we have come out with the BRB. So first of all, you need to have a BRB tree. So you can see we have also shown you the BRB tree for the measles, and now we are showing you the BRB tree for the autism. But this BRB tree is a more complicated than from the previous one because it's a multi-layer BRB. And you can see this is the interface of our systems. So the beauty of this system is that, say for example, we will able to measure the certain types of factors like the social interaction or behavior of a child or its communications. You can see when we put the results, say social interaction is related to two factors, that is the self-absorbed or the quickly, or behavior is related to three factors like the aggressive, destructive, or so in this way, if we put the value of the leaf node of the tree, then it will generate the result. And at the autism level, top level, root level, we will able to calculate the overall assessment of the autisms, and we can convert this fuzzy value into the Cripps value using some utility factors. And then we would like to discuss another problem that we have applied the belief rule base. It is the traffic control signal, but under uncertainty. So the things in an intersection, you know, that is that traffic light has consists of green, blue, and I think green, blue, and red. Red, red, yellow. Green, red, yellow. This. So in an intersections, that is that they follow a fixed cycle method. That is, in an intersection, the red may continue for 2 minutes or yellow for 1 minute. This type of things. So this could have two types of problem. So in a country like the Sweden, sometimes it may appear that the duration is much more. But in the country like Bangladesh, where the traffic is much, then sometimes it does not work. So if we have a system that will automatically sense the traffic congestion, and based on that, if it can automatically in a flexible way, but not in a fixed way, fix the time of the signal, then I think it will we can able to manage the traffic more accurately, and it will that is the save the time, valuable time of the passengers, and also it will have a good economic impact in the society as well. So in this way we have developed these systems. We have already presented that papers in a conference, and we would like to expand this. Here is the interface, and then we are now moving towards a new type of computing. We would like to say it is a sustainable computing. So the measles problem that we have discussed, or the autism problem that we have discussed, or the traffic control problem that we have discussed. So if we can collect the input data on a real-time basis using the sensor in the patient or the autistic child, then we will able to measure its levels of measles or the levels of autism or the traffic control signal level on a real-time basis. So here we need the combinations of pervasive computing, that is, we need to connect the devices with the miniature types of microprocessor like the sensors or other things. So if we can combine this, then it will give you a sustainable computing. That is, the computing should need to be integrated with the communications. This is all about the pervasive computing. So taking this view, philosophy into account, I and Professor Carl submitted a proposal in the Swedish Research Council. As you can see, the title of this project is the I Believe rule-based decision support system to assess flood risks using wireless sensor networks. That is, it is combining the two uh, methodology, two paradigms of computing, and it will ensure the sustainable computing. So in this projects, uh, we are now facing some research questions that I have listed here. That is, our previous flood prediction systems uh, was desktop based. That is, one people can use. And the other problem is that the input data, we need to put it manually. So the problem comes out, that is how we can make our system versatile, that is how many people can use this system. So the solution is that we need to migrate our system into a web-based systems. And then that is, instead of manually input the data, how can we put sensor data on a real-time basis? This was our problem. And then we have identified another problem when we would like to filtering our expert system with the sensor data. We have found there are some anomalies with the sensor data. So now the question that is, how can we solve the sensor anomaly problem? And so far our system now able to predict the flood level, but it is need to be extended to assess the risks of flood. And also that's why we need to develop another belief rule based expert system. And then we need to integrate the prediction, flood prediction model with the risk assessment model. And we also need to do the validation of the system. That's why we have considered two case studies, one located in Shelaptiu, another located in Bangladesh, Cox's Bazar, and the river we have selected is known as Bakhali River. Then our other issues remains, that is the how can we deploy the wireless sensor network. Still we need to do some performance analysis of the technology that we will use. So this work is also going on. Then the other problem is that we need to develop the optimal learning model of this project. So what we have achieved so far, you can see. So first of all, I would like to tell what is risk assessment of flood. So risk assessment basically consists of uh, risk identification, quantification, and the evaluation. So identification consists of the factors that is producing the disaster. Say for example, in our case, it is the flood. So what is the flood intensifying factors? Like the rainfall, like the river water flow, or the human activities. There is geological factors. So this is we need to consider, and also we need to consider the what are the dimensions of flood. That is, flood has aerial extent, it has water level, and it remain for certain period in an area. That is the variations. Then in order to assess the risks of flooding, that is, we need to identify the objects which are exposed to the flooding. So these objects can be road network, and also we need to see the impact of flooding. The risks can be tangible risks, it can be intangible risks. Tangible risks can be measured economically, but intangible risks cannot be. Say for example, disease, or the if there is some effect on the human mind, how can you calculate it? And then having assessed the risks of flooding, then we need to develop the policy, that is how can we reduce the risks of flooding. So these are the three steps we need to consider. So that's why we have mentioned that we need a risk assessment BRB, and then we need the integration of the flood prediction, the risk assessment BRB, and this will allow us to evaluate the floods or develop the appropriate decision to reduce the risks of flooding in an area. So our previous system, this is the interface of the previous system. As you can see, this BRB developed by taking account of the factors that are causing the flooding. There could be meteorological factors, geological factors, human activities, river characteristics that you can see. Say, for example, X22 is rainfall, X23 is the duration, X19, X14 or 17. If you have a look on the right side, then you can easily understand that is what are the factors. So these systems we have uh, used or to validate these systems in a manual procedure. We have visited a place in Chittagong. Then we asked the farmer, please tell us what was the flood water level in your crops field last year. The farmer told us that it is 5 feet. Then we have asked him the parameters, various factors here in this tree to tell his. So in this way we have collected his data, and we have also visited the area. Then after putting the data, manual data in the systems, our system generated result is flat water level in that field 4 feet 8 inches, but the farmer tells us it is 5 feet. So we can see there is an error, but we can fix this error later on if we can develop the optimal learning models. So previous system works in this way. So in our Swedish Research Council project, we can tell it consists of basically three components. Here you can see wireless sensor network part, then the filtering part, then the belief rule based expert system. Then we are now thinking of that is the risk assessment model, that is exposed animal to the flood water. And the solution to our to make our system versatile, that is the we have developed a web-based fraud prediction system, belief rule based. So here you can see the interface, you can see some input data here, so anybody can use it. It is now available online, and then in this interface you can see it allowed the input of manual data, you can see here, and also it can read the sensor data. So doing the very complicated calculations in a web-based system, you can see X23 to rainfall, X23 duration, then the output of this data you can see X8. So if we have a look at this, so for each of the middle level node, we can able to develop this type of graphical interface, and then finally we have a graphical interface for the X7. So you can easily identify which factors are very much uh, very much affecting the water level of flood, or you can generate different types of scenarios. So this is the beauty of our approach. So based on this work, we have already published a paper that I will discuss later on. And Professor Carl and me, this July, we have visited the site in Cox's Bazar. So the river we have considered is the Pakhali River, you can see, and you can see the Google map here. This is the physical river. Then we have visited here. So this is basically related to how can you validate your work. So, and also based on this work, we have also Parcom master's thesis student in cohort 2, Sumit. He already published a paper in this conference. You can see belief rule based DSS for flood assessment using wireless sensor technologies. So here we will go. That is, you can see we are trying to cover so many things. Now we will discuss on the sensor anomaly detection, because we have are facing this problem. So there are various methods, Gaussian multivariate method you can use to detect the sensor anomaly, and there you can also use some association rules. Say association rule could be binary association rule, fuzzy association rule, but from our research we are observing that association based method could perform better than the Gaussian multivariate type of technique. We can also use the fuzzy association rules, but now we are trying to develop a new method. We would like to call it belief rule based association rules, which could be the new invention coming out from this project. So here I would like to show you the flow chart of belief association rule discovery. First of all, we need to have uh, input transaction database. Input transaction database. Here we have considered rainfall and temperature in this table. You can see. Then we need to convert this transaction database. We would like to call it belief transaction database. Here you can see we have transformed it into the belief transaction database using some algorithms, and then we need to calculate support calculations. We have done the calculation for rainfall and temperature. Then we need to develop belief metrics for both rainfall and temperatures, and then we have used the Hamming distance method, uh, and then we need to calculate the confidence rule. So we have used the rule activation weight calculation method that I have presented before to calculate the confidence level of this rule. Then we have discovered the new belief rule. So here is the basically the methods. Uh, then you can see I can show you the comparison between anomaly detection techniques. So you can see if you use the Gaussian multivariate based anomaly detection, you can see it can only detect only few anomalies in the data. But if you can use the binary association based anomaly detection method, it will detect more anomalous data than from the Gaussian multivariate based anomaly detection. That's why we have moved to develop association based methods, but we have seen that when we apply the fuzzy association rule, it performs better than the binary association rule, and when we applied our newly developed belief rule based association rule, we have found that it performs better than the binary and fuzzy association rules. But the research is still going on. We are working day and night to develop the algorithm and to test the algorithm, to test the performance of this algorithm. So the research question that we are coming out, we are trying to solve one by one. And for the fraud bricks assessment, we have cohort 3, we have already selected a student who will work in a smart bricks assessment of fraud by using belief rule base and wireless sensor network. And hopefully in the cohort 4, we will have another master's students who will work in integrating the fraud prediction and risk assessment BRBS. Then we need to have optimal learning model that I have mentioned in our case study, that the farmer told us that it is 5 feet flat water level and our system calculate 4 feet 8 inches. It means that there is a 4-inch gap error. How can we reduce it? So we need to develop the optimal learning model, some type of machine learning model. So our objective is to develop belief rule based algorithms to develop the optimal learning model. So in this case, we have considered again the measles. As you can see here, what is the optimal objective of optimal learning model? The objective of optimal learning model is to reduce the gap between the real system and the belief rule based system. So we can do it if you can train the learning parameters like the degree of belief, rule weight, and the attribute weight. And then you can see the architecture, that is we need to develop a new trading module. We can use the MATLAB or we can use the AppBeacon functions. And here is the elaboration of the trading module. That is, we need to continuously update our knowledge base by considering the various learning parameters like the rule weight, attribute weight, and the degree of belief. And here is the flowchart of trading module. That is the main challenge here is to how can you develop the objective functions, then the set of constraints. So here you can say, if you take an example, we have used the analytical ER algorithms as an objective functions, and it is giving us better result. We have applied in other areas, The reason is that it considers so many parameters, and then you need to select the training parameters as like the R1, training rule weight, antecedent attribute weight, consequent belief degrees, and utility score. In this way, you can consider different types of training parameters. So considering the training parameters, then we can also, to get the reliability of our selections, we can again go for the ROC curve. Then you can see the result of the area under curve of ROC. So here you can see R1 is performing better than the other. So in that case, we need to select these training parameters. So in this way, we are trying to address the question that we are coming out from our Swedish research project step by step. Now, I would like to uh, that is mentioned the publication that we have made. So far, we have published 3 publications in a very high-ranking conference, and one you can see it will be indexed in the SCM digital library, and also it will be DBLP index. And then we are also working in the bank surveillance level assessment. We are thinking of do our research in this area as well, and considering so many sensor data like the uh, uh, motions control or other things, energy level. So you can see the factors that we need to consider, and based on that we have developed a belief rule-based framework. It's a multi-level. So if you can put the sensor data, then it will able to assess the level of security of the surveillance in a bank or very important infrastructure of a country. So here discuss here. First of all, I have introduced myself, my university, and then I have introduced the problem that we are facing and the research adventure that I would like to do. It is the uncertainty. Then we have discussed two evolutionary computing methodology. One is the relational methodology, and another one is the belief rule based. Then on the taking the belief rule based methodology into account, we have shown you a number of case study. Then finally we have discussed our Swedish Research Council project and various challenges that we are facing and the generating the results. So that's all. Thank you very much for to Carl for giving me opportunity to present this lecture.